Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast and live stream. How is everybody doing out there? I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan here, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you guys tonight to talk anime. Isaac, my faithful partner, my good friend, on my side of the bench in this ring of anime fantastical, and I forgot what I was going to say. Isaac, how you doing?
I'm Ferdinand Von Ayer.
What'd you say?
I'm Ferdinand Von Ayer.
And I'm supposed to know, is our audience supposed to know who's Ferdinand Von Ayer? What's the story behind this?
I'm Ferdinand Von Ayer.
Okay, well, Ferdinand. Okay, am I supposed to call you Ferdinand for the duration of this episode? Is that what this is?
No, I'm just messing with you.
So who's Ferdinand Von Ayer?
A Fire Emblem character.
And for a moment there, I made the mistake of forgetting that your name is Emblemaniac. And that was my demise. And that is the downfall of this podcast.
I'm Ferdinand Von Ayer.
Hashtag Ferdinand Von Ayer is Ferdinand Von Ayer. All right. So we're here on our weekly live stream to talk anime with you guys. Isaac, we are very happy to have all these people around here with us today. And we have a great topic for today. And it's an anime that unfamiliar or not, I forgot to speak today. It's a topic that, unlike most of our episodes, which are recommendations from our dog Isaac, this particular recommendation comes from me, the amateur of the bunch. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite animes in the last 2 to 3 years that I've seen. And I'm really excited to talk it with you guys and to hear Isaac's thoughts. And hopefully from this conversation, you'll get a good glimpse of what this anime is about. And also, go check it out for yourselves. Now, before we jump in the summary and start the conversation and get this awesome episode going, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that we are the Amateur Otaku. We are live on YouTube. We have our podcast channel, and we're available in every podcast app that you can find. So if you love the podcast format, go check out the Amateur Otaku, like and subscribe on our podcast channel. If you're following us on YouTube, like us on YouTube, like this video, like this live stream, subscribe on YouTube, and make sure you click on that bell for notifications so you do not miss any episode, any live stream, any legacy episode that goes up, and any impromptu episode or weird commentary tracks like the ones that will be premiering very, very soon. Make sure that you hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any announcements and any of the content. Oh my God. Just so you guys know, the commentary tracks that we do are where I die and Isaac lives in maniacal laughter. So those are special episodes that we will share with you guys very soon. But make sure you like and subscribe, share with your friends so people can know what the Amateur Otaku is about, that we are out there, that we are growing, and we can do more content for you guys. Because more importantly, we want people that have never seen anime before and want to know what it's about or what's out there, because there's so much stuff out there. Don't worry. We always make sure to watch anime that are good to introduce you into the world, into that realm. And this is definitely one of those. And Isaac, what is the name of the anime that we are going to talk about tonight?
We are talking about MegaloBOX.
Yes. MegaloBOX is a boxing sports drama anime, and it's one of the best animes that I have ever seen in my life. It's one of my favorites. And I think it has to do because I love underdog stories, or because I am a huge Rocky fan. Like my whole family love Rocky. I love the idea of the underdog overcoming insurmountable odds. And this is one of the best stories that I've seen And it's an anime, so it has a certain flair that live action doesn't give you. So it's one of the most special things that I've ever seen. I actually covered it on Revenge of the Fans when I was a writer there, and I put my 2 cents on there. And I thought it was perfect for me to grab an excerpt from that and read a little summary so people know what this show is about and what our conversation is going to be about. Sounds good, Isaac?
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. Everyone loves an underdog story. To see our protagonist succeed in spite of the insurmountable odds stacked against them tends to leave us in awe. Because their triumph is not due to their skill alone, but by their sheer determination and force of will. Such is the story told to us in MegaloBOX. Directed by Yō Moriyama and produced by TMS Entertainment, MegaloBOX tells the story of Junk Dog, an underground boxer, and his team as they are pushed to their emotional and physical limit in their journey to Megalonia, the International MegaloBOX Championship. A modern, cyberpunkian retelling of the beloved boxing anime manga known as Ashita no Joe or Champion Joe. Screenwriters Katsuhiko Manabe and Kensaku Kojima do wonders in embracing that original tale's beating heart within this new and futuristic canvas. With captivating visuals and emotional story that feel like real-life stakes, this series is the perfect venture for those looking for a powerful viewing experience in their first journey into anime or in their revisiting of the medium. This is MegaloBOX. As you guys can see, I am very passionate about this show and even more passionate when I write about something. But this is about the Amateur Otaku. This is about me going into the ring with Isaac and going a few rounds and him throwing punches at me because that's his specialty. That's like your left hook, Isaac. Puns. That's why every time I leave the episodes, I'm like bruised in my heartstrings.
Nah, you love them. You know it.
So, Ferdinand, what are your thoughts on MegaloBOX? You saw it for the first time. This is my second viewing. First of all, where did you watch it over there in Sweden? How did you get access to it?
Crunchyroll.
Sweet.
And I don't know how I should put this. I was bored.
Okay.
I was honestly bored. Because, how should I put it? Maybe it's because I'm not a boxing fan. Because I'm not a boxing fan in what should I say? Martial art fan in general.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, Leo. So it felt very. I'm not a fighting sports guy, Leo. Give me a break.
So you didn't like it because of the sports element and stuff like that, and I can totally understand it. Like Hayaku is one of the biggest sport anime out there right now, right? And I think it just ended in the manga.
Yeah, and I'm not that keen of it either.
Okay, and I actually tried, I started watching a couple of episodes to try to get into it, and I struggle a little bit because I'm not a sports guy either, but I can see certain things. So I wonder, being that you felt bored, you didn't like it, let's try and scarve around through that. Now, you have a valid reason, because some anime, the good thing about anime is that there's variety available for everybody. Literally.
Yeah.
Even it's weird. How some people like Chinese food and suddenly you go to this place where they serve combination like Chinese, Swedish, people combining different cuisines, right? Anime is so varied that you can find weird combinations of genres in very weird corners of that world. So you not liking the sports thing, I can understand. Now, did you like the characters? Did you like the character work or the relationships? And yes, did you like the character? Let me leave it at that.
Let me put it like this. I have seen a couple of boxing movies before.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw, it just put every. It was like a checklist. Just start A, start
Okay.
B, point A, point B, point C, point D. I even knew how the story was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
And after I saw the second episode, I know exactly how that show was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a slow burn that I'm sorry, dude, but I had to take a break, but just because
Isaac, bring it. Any punch that you throw at me. See, now I have puns. Anything. Don't worry. You know me. You telling me you don't like it won't break my spirit. After the 3 episodes we did on Sword Art, the fact that we're still friends means that I can take it. Tell me,
dude. I don't have any strong feelings about it. At least with
whether good or bad, you mean?
Yeah, I have strong feelings about it because then I can rip that shit to pieces,
right?
Like Trunks did to Frieza in the Cyborg saga.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can see where the points are, and I can see where they are. A, B, C. It's. Have you ever seen a show where you can see the appeal, but just not for me?
Yes.
Have you seen a show? It's it just like that was fine for what it is, I suppose, because that's what I feel MegaloBOX was. Because if you are a fan of boxing, a fan of underdog stories, and I argue if you want a more slow burn, character driven story, although every character was rather stereotypical from top to bottom, this is a perfect show for you. Maybe I wasn't in the right mood when I saw it. I won't deny that, because I was just a bit tired and stressed, so to speak, when I binged it. So I won't deny that. But I wish I had some strong feelings, be it positive or negative, about it, so I can just bring my inner Neon Genesis Evangelion, or no, I'm not saying that I was hoping that I dislike it so much. I hope that I could. It gave me so much to talk about, and even though I didn't like it, because I mean, this is what I mean, that it would be an interesting to do, because let me put it like this. You take the word while I try to think through.
Okay. Well, you know what? I appreciate, that's one of the things that I love about talking anime with you, or talking anything with you, is because you always are a free character. You talk what you think, and you don't sugarcoat it. Even if you know I might disagree, or even if you know that you're not sugarcoating anything, you still tell me what you think. And that's why I appreciate what we do here, because we can give people very honest responses. And everything that you said, everything is perfectly valid. If you're not a sports fan, if you don't like boxing stories, if underdog stories, which a great deal of underdog stories have the same through line or thesis, right?
I'm not against underdog stories.
Right.
It's just
and I'm not
sports
saying right.
I mean, you can argue that, for example, Naruto is an underdog story, considering how he is.
Yes.
Or One Piece with Luffy,
Right.
And to some extent Goku with Dragon Ball. They are all underdog stories to some extent. So, these were the three.
Those are different animes, mainly because those start off as underdog stories, and then as they become bigger, they become something else.
Yeah,
they become.
But you get it.
No, 100%. No, and I get it, and I'm not saying that you're against that genre or that you're against that particular take on stories, because that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that you like this show not hooking you, and no, that's not a boxing pun, from the beginning or throughout is understandable because of your certain preferences and stuff like that. And I think let's put everything that you said into context, and I'm going to try and I'm not going to tackle what you said, but I'm going to try and put context to your thoughts, but also provide my own appreciation for it. Cool? So one of the things that's interesting about this show is that you're right. It is a checklist. It is a story that we've seen before, and it doesn't necessarily try to do a lot of new things. But let's talk about the origination of the story. It is not an original piece. It is a reboot of sorts from an original anime or manga from the 60s.
I will give it this, though. I like how stubborn the Yō was during the series, because you didn't give up no matter what. I can say that I really did, even if I'm not a sports guy. I liked seeing him doing fighting no matter what, even if it looked the most hopeless.
Right.
But like I said, I'm not a sports guy. Sure, I like to play golf, but that doesn't mean I want to watch golf stories.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. Like when you said that you could see the appeal, but not necessarily say that, but at the same time say, "Oh, this is not necessarily for me." You know what movie produces that emotion in me or that response? And that one is Alien. The original Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. It's a movie that I saw it because of its cinematic importance. Like, I knew how big Ridley Scott was. I knew how big Alien was in the horror genre, and I'm not a horror guy. That's not my speed. I get scared by just turning the lights off. That's how much of a wimp I can be. But at the same time, I wanted to watch it. And when I saw it, yes, I needed a clean pair of shorts afterwards. But but for a movie done, I think that's late 70s, early 80s, I think it is. But for a movie done in that era, how good the movie looked, the acting, the practical effects. I could see that this was a masterpiece, even though I didn't like it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I could see why it's up there as one of the best movies of all time for that genre, for that era.
It came out in 1979.
Right. So that's one of those things that I completely understand. That's why I understand where you're coming from. Now, The reason it checks boxes, and because like I was going back to that, is this movie, this series, MegaloBOX. The origin of the series is to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Ashita no Joe, which is this original boxing anime that's pretty much the same story about this orphan that becomes this champion boxer and all the struggles that he goes through. So this is mostly like not just a reboot, but also like putting a star in Hollywood, like a recognition, right, of the importance to manga of sports animes. It's a tribute to sports animes. Let's put it that way, because most sports anime have that underdog feel, because that's just kind of what you look for on those shows. Now, all the characters, yes, they can feel generic, but what really captures me is that you can't deny that the performances were there. The animation is crisp. The action is good.
I mean,
the direction, and the way the fights are done and choreographed. I don't know if choreograph's the right word because everything's drawn, but you know what I'm trying to say. And I this time in particular, I watched it mainly, like the most of it, I watched it in the dubbed version. The dub is very solid. So if you watch it dub or subbed, this is a show you'll enjoy on both ways.
I'm always trying to watch both dub and sub, but for some reason, your Crunchyroll account only allow me to watch sub versions. I don't know why.
That's weird. Maybe it's one of those region things. That is very weird.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, Isaac. What were your thoughts on the animation?
The animation is gorgeous.
Okay.
Go ahead. Look, speaking like this, while I thought the fight was boring because, well, I'm not a sports guy,
right.
I was then looking, just checking out, and going to YouTube, just checking out some boxing matches, just a quick look, just to get some preference on how boxing usually is, so to speak. And based on that, I have to give credit for him because it looked really real, so to speak.
You know what? Let me ask you this: since you went there, let me ask you this: is boxing a thing in Sweden?
Not that I know.
Okay, so that means boxing is bigger in different parts of Europe, but not necessarily where you're from.
Here it's more, as far as I know, it's more MMA.
Okay. Well, see, that's something that's understandable because for me, from my culture, I grew up in Puerto Rico, a small island in the Caribbean, right? Boxing is huge, so huge that some of the biggest boxers in history are from Puerto Rico, or some of the biggest ones came from Puerto Rico. So you can see, not that I'm a huge boxing guy, but in that sense, you can see that it is. I have that connection culturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's understandable.
Yeah, and not only that, I remember a lot of times we would go to parties because there was this big boxing match where this very prominent Puerto Rican boxer would fight, and it was a thing. And not that I would watch, I don't like seeing people. Well, okay, correction, I like good fights, but I have that personal connection. So when I would see the show and I would see the fights and I would see the choreography, I could feel that connection and that excitement. And thank you for bringing up the fact that you went above and beyond and went to see actual real fights, and you were able to capture how good the animation captures that.
Because how should I put it? It's one thing if you, for example, see Sword Art, Fairy Tail, Dragon Ball. It's meant to be fantastical. It's not meant to quote unquote take serious, if you know what I mean. It will take serious in the aspect that you want to be taking care of characters, but they don't want to be realistic, so to speak.
Correct.
But here they want to have a futuristic gear, but it was clear that he wanted to have a futuristic style of fighting.
Right.
So that's why I just felt no, and in order for me to get to come, Leo say that he's ready.
Yep.
In order to give it some comment about that, I need to know from I need to get some info on where I can,
compare and contrast. Right.
Compare and contrast, because otherwise I don't do
100%.
Anime justice, I feel.
Right. Correct. And I'm glad that you did, because now what you're telling me is that now it allows you to appreciate what the creators were going for. And not only that, you see the connection to the realness of it, right? But another thing that I saw that was fascinating and was the fact that there was this connection, there was this direct connection and relationship with American cinematography when it comes to boxing.
Dude, continue that after we hold that thought, and let's bring out our guest.
Not a problem. So we have a special guest. He told us that we've been trying to get him on the show with us for the longest time, and we've been wanting to talk this show with him, and our schedules never matched. But out of nowhere, from the ether of anime goodness, the goods are here. Not just any goods. The Geekly goods are here. Leo, what is up, dude?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
It's going good here. How it goes for you?
Not too bad, guys. Not too bad. I seen you guys were talking about MegaloBOX, and I didn't think I had time, but man, when I saw or heard you guys talking about it, I was like, I gotta get in this conversation. It's such a good anime.
Yeah, and the fact that you hit us up, and even in the live stream we saw you in there, I'm like, we got to take the opportunity to just get you in here, because we know that you have a lot to say about this show. So I have a lot of other thoughts that I want to talk about. Isaac kind of gave us his experience with it, and not that he's turning a different leaf, but I understand what his points are. You've been listening to the conversation, Leo, backstage. So before I keep analyzing this and we keep talking about it, I think our friends at home that probably don't know about you want to know what you think of MegaloBOX.
Oh my God. I love this series. I think what I like about it so much is, first of all, I love boxing. And second off, I just love this idea of Joe having this kind of broken down gear, like a gear that's not really as high tech or as advanced as his opponents, but bringing back the actual technique and actual strength in boxing. When I was watching this anime, I was a little bit disappointed at first, because they had brought these gears in and had really shifted to more of like a futuristic take on boxing, where it's very reliant on the equipment and not as much the skill. But that's what I love so much about Joe's character, is that he's actually a skilled fighter. And not to mention, like, Joe, I'm not sure what ethnicity he is. I would assume like Brazilian or maybe South Asian or something, but I just love the look of the character. I mean, he doesn't have a traditional shonen look. He's got this huge afro and a scar and darker skin. So he's a lot more relatable for me because he looks a lot more like me. but I do just love so many qualities of this anime. I gotta rewatch it, but I remember just seeing him beating these guys and being like on his last leg and able to just get the upper hand at the very last minute. And man, I was full of excitement the whole time. I'm ready for a season 2. That season 1 ending was kind of like up in the air. So I'm curious to see where we're going here. I mean, are we allowed to spoil?
Well, we always try not to spoil as
Okay,
much.
I won't spoil.
So, but Leo, thank you for sharing your thoughts, man. Something you said that goes back to the conversation that we've been having. And based on the conversation I was starting to have with Isaac also, is the fact that you started the conversation with, I love boxing. so what I find very interesting is the fact that when it comes to boxing, it is something that's very big. Like MMA has grown in the United States in terms of a household enjoyed sport. I think that's been for the last 20 years. But prior to that, boxing reigned. Like boxing was the thing that you would watch on pay-per-views. Like that was the big thing, right? Like in the States, it's kind of lost. Boxing has lost that much importance because MMA has grown so much. And me coming from Puerto Rico, that was actually my direct relationship with MegaloBOX as well. Not that I love boxing or practice it, but I remember going to friends' houses to watch fights with my parents, and I love the Rocky movies. I love Creed, and the idea of a character development occurring in the midst of a fist fight and carrying drama into a fist fight has always been one of the more interesting takes in cinematic storytelling in the US. That I think that's probably why we have such a connection to this show. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
And I think that this show captures that and more. And I like how you mentioned the look of Joe, because if we look at Joe, he's meant, because the thing is this, we don't know his real name. Let's start that. I think we can at least say that. The idea of Joe is from the idea of the average Joe. Like this can be anybody. This can be anybody that has a gift or a talent, right? And when you mentioned the ethnicity that he kind of looks like, he kind of does have that Latino aesthetic. Not because I'm Latino, I'm not trying to be, but he does have that Latino-esque aesthetic to him. And I wonder if that was important for the creators aesthetically, and because of the history of boxing, that a lot of the big names that shook the world boxing wise are either people of color or from Latin ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the biggest names that you would remember, that you would know. And because originally, did you know its connection to the old Ashita no Joe show?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like in dedication, right? I think it's like in the beginning of the anime they say it.
Yeah, and you see like the punch with the 50th, right?
Yeah.
So this in the beginning, of course, you had this white Chinese or a Japanese character, right? And now they've made Joe someone that's they didn't make it culturally exclusive, but they made the show very culturally inclusive. You see people from all over the world of different races, of different colors. And I think it broadens the show's appeal and the story that they're trying to tell so much. And I really appreciate the show for it.
Me too, man. I mean, and when you were saying he looked, Latino, like that's what I totally thought as well. I thought he had this kind of South Brazilian look. And I just really, what I like about this is it just screams the spirit of boxing, because as I was saying earlier, it's very powered by the tech and, the different arms and the different gears and things like that. And like the champion, the dude with the white hair, I mean, he had just like the richest gear, and, he was the top dog. And getting to follow Joe and see him, kind of work through those guys with having like a pretty cheap gear it's just amazing. I mean, it brings the spirit of boxing, and not to mention like the drawing style and the way they draw and depict boxing is very well done. I mean, look, recently I got into God of High School, and I love how they do fight choreography, but MegaloBOX, I would say in the last couple years, is definitely like one of my favorites when it comes to fight choreography. They really know how to put you in the ring and just make you feel it.
Yeah. And Isaac, you said something that I think it's one of the best observations that I've heard about this show. And Isaac, you said that for you to appreciate the show, because we know where you stand, we know that the show wasn't necessarily your cup of tea, but you shouldered through it for the show. So you did it for the love of the amateur otaku. But one of the things, Isaac, that you said that catches my ear is the fact that you had to change your mindset from what typical anime fantasy fights looked like to a realistic style, which is what they were going for. And I think that's one of the best things about the show, because like you said, when you watch Fairy Tail, you expect magic, explosions, dragons, and you know what I mean? You expect everything to be bigger than life, because that's what you go to that show for. But when you go to this show, you go for the rawness, you go for the slow burn, you go for the fact that every second of each round counts, means something. Every drop of sweat, every salve on the wound, every Q-tip going into someone's ear, like all those little takes and all the little conversations in the corner, they just transport you into that world. And it goes out of its way, in the best way, to make you feel that you could be seeing this live. You could be seeing this done in real life in a way, shape, or form. When you said, Leo, about the idea of power against tech, to a degree, it made me think how this particular show, it's like a Rocky Real Steel hybrid. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody talks about Real Steel anymore. And I think that's it's not the greatest movie, but one of the most underrated Hugh Jackman movies, because there is some goodness in that movie. But it's one of those things where it shows you that no matter how far technology goes, what makes a sport something to live for, to die for, to live your life by, is those encounters with those that are like-minded, that the spirit of wanting to win, of why do you train, why do you work out, why do you have to work hard? You know what I mean? Like, you work hard to succeed and excel. And I don't know, man. It's one of those shows that just highlights that so well.
And you make a really good point that, it just highlights hard work, because that's kind of what shonen does really well, is that, there's always this pair up, and whether it's hero versus villain or hero versus rival or hero versus deuteragonist, they always very much pair up a hardworking main character against a naturally talented character. And in this case, you could say it's due to the fact that this guy is basically rich and has a richer gear, but they very much hammer home that if you keep working hard, you're going to be able to win. And even if it's just by a small margin, you're still going to be able to. And I oh my God, I have been really holding back with the spoilers. I will not spoil.
Yeah.
But man, Joe is awesome. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to spoil, but you'll get to the end of the series and your jaw will drop.
Yes. Now, you said something very interesting. And Isaac, I really want to hear your thoughts on this. We know that the biggest thing about the show is that we have to understand it is a familiar story. Like, if people go to this show expecting something new and so fresh that is going to blow their mind because they've never seen it before, this is not the show for that. This show was not designed to blow your mind with newness. I think it is a show meant to tell a familiar. It's a show that tells a familiar tale, but in a very fresh, modern, and well acted and performed take. Because, like I was telling before to Isaac, all the character performances, the voice work, they're all spot on. They're all great in both the dubbed and sub versions. You have your typical drunk trainer, which is your Mergus Bergeth, right? Mickey, right? You have your drunk trainer. You have the mobster. You have the fact that they're throwing fights. You have all the elements there. Now, to me, the most interesting element was that, for example, has everyone here seen Rocky 4?
No.
Hell
You haven't
yeah.
seen it.
With the robot? That's the one with the robot, right?
Well, with Duff Lundgren.
Awesome.
Right.
I
So,
was right.
how have you not seen Rocky 4 and know the line, bro?
I've seen a Nostalgia Critics review of it.
Oh my God. Isaac, you never cease to amaze me. Whether it's good or bad, I can't say, but you never cease to amaze me. So those people that, like, most of the times when you watch a Rocky movie, right? You always see everything from Rocky's perspective. You see his struggle, his training, him getting better, his struggles with Adrian and why he shouldn't fight and how he's going to, you see all that, right? And you get all that and more in MegaloBOX with all of Joe's story. But what I like that this show highlights that I've never seen before in this kind of, maybe I have to rewatch the movie Warrior, which is supposed to be a very big movie on this, even though that's more MMA, is the idea of the effect that the hero's progress has on the antagonist. And when you see every Yuri's development or Yuri's realization of who Joe is and is becoming and what that does to him. And this is not a spoiler, but because you know this in episode 1, Yuri is Joe's rival, the current King of Kings, MegaloBOX champion. And the effect that everything that Joe is achieving has on him, to me, that is very dramatic and amazing storytelling. And then how they pair up their stories and where they're at in the story as the story progresses. Because to me, one of the most interesting things, especially when you have a rival story, right? In the case of Naruto's rival is Sasuke. But their stories take them to so very far different places that you kind of lose the threads of how they're rivals. You know what I mean? It's not like they start as rivals and then they split into very opposite directions, and that theme or that idea is not revisited till like 200 episodes later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting about Naruto Shippuden is that you kind of have this Naruto without Sasuke for a while. Mm-hmm. And Sasuke very much gets his own journey. So I think that's more of a unique case, but one can even say like Sasuke's story is all gaining all that power is all because Naruto caught up to him and surpassed him by a small margin.
Right. But you lose those threads as you go into fillers and different storylines and as you introduce so many different characters, right? Now in this show, the starting point between these two character stories is there, and through the episodes, because the show is so short, it's only 13 episodes, so it makes it a lot easier to digest, especially in one sitting, right? If it's a show that you're going to enjoy, is that you see the starting point of these two characters, but you always see the through line of how those stories are parallel going to each other, and then until you get to the last 2 episodes, right? And literally the stories are side by side and the excitement level is over 9,000.
Early. I mean, and that's typically what happens in these anime, right? You know, you have that main character that catches up and they end up getting better because it's all what it all is. And this is an ode to people of Japan and these amazing anime creators who spend like 13 to 14 hours a day making these series. Hard work goes such a long way that it surpasses natural talent every single time. And you always see that secondary character leaning back, getting comfortable. I'm at the top. I'm the best. And they end up getting surpassed every single time. Asta, Naruto, not really Dragon Ball Z. This is another case. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, they roll off the tongue. It happens just about every anime series. And I agree with you. If you're looking for something like that is unlike most shonen, this isn't it. This is going to very much follow the same themes, the same characters, the same things as most shonen anime do. But what's so great about this anime is the boxing, man. Like the freaking boxing. Yeah. And the stuff we get to see with Joe, the development of his character, and just, I'm telling y'all, that end, woo, jaw-dropping. Yeah, I'm holding back.
No, but the build up to the final battle is so powerful that you're right on there. And I'm gonna challenge something that you say, because you mentioned about, and I know that you're not trying to spoil it, but I'm gonna say this: what makes Yuri's journey so powerful is that he is what was the word I'm looking for? He is not the quintessential rich guy rival, because as soon as he sees Joe's development, he trains harder, because he starts seeing that he has a worthy opponent that he has to prepare for. And that is a take that you rarely see, because you always have the rival that's, like you said, the typical one is the rival that's always thinking that he will never be beaten. You know what I mean? But then again, because of the symbolism of them being stray dogs, of them being ravenous, and them controlling territory, Yuri's the kind of villain, or no, he's not a villain. He's the type of antagonist that is always looking at everything and preparing accordingly.
And what I do like about Joe is that he got knocked down to size pretty early. You know, he comes into this kind of chest poked out, like, I got this, and he gets his butt beat.
Yep. And I don't know, man. Those kind of things, the character work on the show, it's one of the best things that I enjoy about it. This is the kind of anime, I don't own a lot of physical stuff, but this is the kind of anime that I've had on my list for the longest time that I would just buy the Blu-ray because I just want to have it. Isaac, we've been talking a lot. You've been quiet in your corner. Hi, Isaac.
Go on. It's interesting hearing you two talking about this, actually.
But wait, Isaac, you don't like... I heard you earlier saying you really like martial arts and boxing anime.
I'm not the biggest sports guy overall, so to speak. It's weird.
Well,
I like playing golf, but I wouldn't like to... I'm not interested in seeing a golf anime, if you know what I mean.
No, totally. I completely understand. Like, I don't watch shoujo anime, and that's nothing against the genre itself and the type of anime that fit into that, but it doesn't really speak to me, and so I completely understand.
Right.
Yeah. But I can understand from your perspective why you love it. It's just, like we talked about earlier, it's more of a cultural, regional perspective, considering boxing here isn't that big, honestly.
And that actually surprised me, because when you told me, when I asked you that question and you told me that, everything that you said about it clicks. And that's what I love about anime. Like, me and Leo are head over heels, MegaloBOX. Isaac is not that much, but there's always going to be stuff that we're not going to like. But the good thing is that this show is going to click with someone out there. Someone's going to watch it and they're going to love it. Others will have a response like Isaac. But the best thing about anime is there's something for everybody, and we try and cover as varied animes as we can. Go ahead.
Leo? I really like the design of the anime as well. You know, it kind of has this like I kind of almost can compare it to like Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
And that futuristic look that it has that same kind of grind, but with a more updated look, more sharper, cleaner image. But I just love the look. I like the music a lot. Love the look of the arena, and kind of what I really like about this is that it's set in the future, but besides maybe a couple characters in the arena and some of the stuff around that, a lot of stuff looks broke down. Right. Especially where Joe is at. I mean, I'm like, that's kind of just like a little shaggy village that could easily exist today.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know,
random question.
Go ahead.
The dude that was the coach info guy, so to speak, were it just me, or didn't he look a bit like the priest in Princess Mononoke? Just random question.
He looks very similar.
Which guy?
The one that says there is a rumor that ...
Oh, the coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks a lot like him.
Yes. Now, I mean, it's not Billy Bob Thornton, but he does look a lot like that weird priest in Mononoke. Yes.
Yeah, the dude who had like the umbrella and the like whole like red and white outfit. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you that about the whole design of Cowboy Bebop, and yeah, the soundtrack was actually pretty good. That I have to give it to them. And honestly, if someone told me that this is how the civilization would look like in 20 to 30 years, give or take, then I would buy it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's believable because it's not this like, oh, you know, there's spaceships here and flying cars. Like, no, it's pretty much looks the same. People are just rich off of this boxing thing, and like the gear and boxing styles itself has changed. And that's another thing I really liked about it was that that relationship between Joe and the coach. I really just like how the coach is really all about like authenticity and still like technique and things like that, while you kind of witness the other characters who are more about upgrades and how can my tech be stronger and how can my tech be faster, versus Joe who's working on footwork and boxing skills and actually fighting. Man, it's so good. And to be like 10 episodes and none of these 10 episodes I skipped the intro says a lot.
And you know what? You say that, and one of the things I think is one of the best highlights is because it's a sports anime, it is very easy for this to feel repetitive. Very easy. Because it's a ring. There's not a lot of variety in the ring. So what's going to make everything feel different is the different foes that he encounters. And every foe feels unique. Everyone that he fights, yes, part of me wants to say that this is the best Super Punch-Out anime I've ever seen in my life. But it's not Super Punch-Out because it's not overly dramatic. But you know what I mean? Like I think the one that they call the Bloody Lion, he's the closest to a Super Punch-Out antagonist.
Yeah. Right? Tiger dude.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was an homage to that. But yeah, I agree with you. Like every battle, every bout was different. It felt different. They all have different techniques that he had to employ it's all about the strategy of the fight and how he's going to fight to overcome. And that's the beauty about the show. That's the excitement of the show. Watching you watch Joe, like, you know, he's going to win. You know that if there's another 5 episodes, he has to get there in 5 episodes. But how he does it is what's interesting. When you have a show that you know the outcome, that you know what the end is supposed to be, what makes it interesting is how he gets there. And I think this show plays a lot with that idea very well. Going back to what you guys said about the stylistic choices and the whole Cowboy Bebop aesthetic, I think you guys are right on the money. I always said that this show is cyberpunkian. And the reason I say cyberpunkian is not because it's 100% cyberpunk, because the world doesn't necessarily depend on technology in the way that most cyberpunk societies do, right? But it's because it has those elements of rundown mixed with brand new and technological. But I like how the setting doesn't distract you from the story, which in a show like this, when you add a lot of new factors and a lot of new things, it is very easy for it to become a Michael Bay film.
Oh man, you're telling me.
And like, it's very easy to make it Michael Bay-ish, and it's very hard to keep it Ryan Coogler. You know what I mean? And I think that this show does a great job of, for example, I think Creed is one of the best boxing movies ever. And not because it's a spinoff of Rocky, but because it did the same thing MegaloBOX does, which it takes the heart that makes Ashita no Joe fantastic, or the heart that makes Rocky fantastic, and puts it under the new skin and the new identity of Adonis Creed, and brings this brand new breath of fresh air into the story without the distractions of the fact that it's a brand new character. Like, you don't lose what makes the story special. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's it. Go ahead.
The characters are the focus of this story because, like you said, there's really nothing to look at. I mean, look, the setting is very typical. There's several different animes where we've seen a setting like this, but I love the focus on Joe. I love the coach. And that's the thing about a boxing movie, anime, show, whatever. You got to show that relationship between the coach and the boxer. That's like one of the most important things to depict. And I like the take here. I mean, I just really like this anime like so much. And you talk about Creed and Ryan Coogler. And yes, the thing that it does make Creed such a good movie is that it's character focused. It focuses on making great characters and telling great stories. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much about the distractions. And that's what I like about the music too, is that it's this cool, smooth hip hop. It's nothing that you're like, wait, what? It's nothing jarring. It's nothing that's going to ignore you. It complements. Nice. And so this series is one that, while it's not unique, it's one that you really can sit back and enjoy the development of the main character.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because it's what I find it interesting that yes, you're right. The story is not unique, but the take on it is unique enough that makes the story worth watching. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And what I mean by it not being that unique is going back to what we were saying earlier, is that things are very, very repetitive. And like, if you're well versed in anime, so I guess if you're like an otaku, you've seen this before. But yes, I do think that adding this kind of different style of boxing and introducing like this tech and different upgrades and such with that definitely changes traditional boxing in this story for sure.
Yeah. Isaac, I'm really happy that we can all agree that the soundtrack is fantastic. And I like its relationship to the show. Like, you have a lot of the best animes are the ones with the best soundtrack. But this particular soundtrack does something that the Cowboy Bebop episode does very well. Or Cowboy Bebop series, or series like Samurai Champloo or anything Watanabe touches, is that they're part of the show's DNA. They're part of like, whenever you're in the ring, you're going to hear the same songs, the same tracks. Whenever you're in the middle of the song, you're going to hear the same tracks. Like those moments where sporadically you have a character that starts rapping, like those little things like that. Like, you never find out who this kid with the goggles is that's hanging out, listening to hip hop and singing and rapping, right, about everything that's going on. He's like the unannounced narrator, right? I like how the soundtrack is part of the show's identity. It does a very good. That's one of my favorite things about the show. I work out to this soundtrack. Like, yeah, man. It gets me in the mood, bro.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I work out to the My Hero soundtrack all the time.
Yep.
For me, it's Astral Chain.
Oh, sweet. Very sweet. It's cool. I think, guys, I think we talked a lot about this show. I think we've done good in giving people a very good idea of what all this is about and why they should check out MegaloBOX. Isaac, do you have anything else you want to add or anything else you want to comment on based on everything that we talked about?
I'm Ferdinand von Meyer.
And there's the show.
It was a starting yoke.
Yeah. Now, Leo, I am really happy that you got a chance to join us.
Oh, man, I had to join y'all for this one. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for jumping in, man. It's really exciting being able to have people from the community that love anime as much as us to come join us, because that's what the Amateur Otaku is about. I mean, we say it in every episode, but I think we can't say it enough. The Amateur Otaku is about being able to talk anime with those that love it, and being able to talk about anime with those that have never seen it before or never ventured into this world, and give them enough of a taste so they can check an anime out. That's what we cover. So many different ones of different genres, of different styles, so that you have a glimpse of the immense world that's anime out there. Because I think it's one of those art forms, both me and Isaac believe, that is one of those art forms that a lot of times, even though it's growing more than ever, it's one of those art forms that is treated like comic book, like geekdom, long lost second cousin. You know what I mean? Like, it's in a corner and only certain people watch it. And
absolutely. I feel like a lot of people haven't talked about this. Yeah,
and they need to. They need to try it, because there's a little bit for everybody, and it's one of the most powerful mediums out there. People underestimate it because it's animation, but when you have a show like this, it's beyond the animation. It's just so good. Yeah. So we're going to do a couple of announcements, Leo, and then we'll wrap up, do some plugs. We definitely want you to plug Geekly Good, so we're going to give you an opportunity to do that, and what else you got going on your end. Isaac, we didn't get any comments on the comment section for discussion, but you know what we got, Isaac? We got our first 2 recommendations. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
We got our first 2 recommendations from 2 of our good friends. The first recommendation, we got 2 recommendations for 2 animes that we should watch and cover on the show. And the first recommendation comes from our good friend Tavo Borrego. He's at Tavo PR on Twitter. How you doing, Tavo? He recently watched a show on Netflix called BNA.
I reviewed on Wobam.
Nice. Make sure you put the link in the description, Isaac. I think BNA is distributed by Netflix and is available worldwide. And it's supposed to be a very interesting anime about animals, humans, society, werewolves, and it's a combination of a lot of things, right? I've not seen it.
Yeah. You both should see it.
Sweet. So BNA was the first recommendation. And then the second recommendation comes from my homeboy, Jeremy Rodriguez. He is from Puerto Rico. He's one of my best friends ever. And he recently saw a show called Made in Abyss. And
love that show.
He told me that he really loved it. He binged it. It's another show that's only 13 episodes. And he told us that we should cover it on the show and that I should watch it. So we're actually going to cover those shows here. We've been telling you guys ever since we started the live stream, ever since we started the podcast, that if you guys give us a recommendation, we're going to cover it on the show. So next week, we're going to be talking the first season of Food Wars. And after that, the next 2 slots are going to be the 2 recommendations that you guys have had for us. We're going to do Made in Abyss, and we're going to cover BNA. So stay tuned, because we're going to cover our first recommendations in the weeks to come. And if you guys give us more recommendations after that, we're going to keep using your recommendations to fill up our schedule. Because at the end of the day, it's all about talking anime with you guys. So,
just curious, Leo, do you have any recommendation for us?
Ooh.
Shoot, off the top, I'm sure you guys have watched a lot of shows that I would recommend. Recently, a couple that I wanted to get into, I still haven't seen Gintama. So I still want to get into that.
Okay.
Oh man, it looks so good. I've actually been doing like a special like kind of research project video essay for another YouTube channel, and I hadn't seen Gintama, and they were like asking me to just research it. And man, reading up all the things about Gintoki, like I'm definitely trying to get into that. There's another one that I recently heard about called Smile Down the Runway, and is somehow categorized as a shonen, even though it looks a little bit more like a shoujo. So I guess I could recommend that one to you guys. Smile Down the Runway. It's like 10 episodes. It chronicles the life of a fashion designer and a model. And the fashion designer is very hardworking, but makes a lot of sacrifices for his family. And the model is the exact opposite. It's not that she's not a hard worker, but she kind of has everything already, but is not satisfied with it. And so they pair together and bring out the best in each other. It sounds like a really good anime. That's another one that they had me look up and I haven't checked out, but check out Smile Down the Runway. I think it's only 10 episodes, so it'll be a quick watch.
Those are very good recommendations. And we've been talking about, I mean, Isaac doesn't give me push-ups. He doesn't give me squats. He gives me Gintamas. He's been giving me Gintamas since our first season. So I think, thank you, Leo. We got 2 more recommendations. They're going to go on the schedule, and we're going to cover them.
No problem.
We'll definitely cover them so you can watch the episode and see if those shows are for you. So that's awesome. Isaac, we got recommendations. This is so exciting. Bye free time. No,
for real.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us at the Amateur Otaku. For everybody that's watched us from home, Leo, my brother, thank you for joining us at the Amateur Otaku Podcast and talking with us anime and talking with us MegaloBOX. We definitely have to do this again very soon. But this is your moment on the spotlight. Leo, what is Geekly Goods? Talk to us.
Yo, guys. So Geekly Goods is a YouTube channel and a blog specializing in keeping the good in geek, guys. We want to geek out with the community and keep the positive while also being honest on the latest in media, film, TV, anime, gaming. I mean, we hit all spectrums, guys, and we just talk about it. We geek out together. Come on over to the YouTube channel for reviews, reactions, and a ton of randomness, guys. I even try Popeyes and do stuff like that. So pretty much just anything in the head.
I saw you doing that, and I still can't believe you did that.
Oh, man, that's not my first one either. I did, I did the chicken sandwich probably about 6 or 7 months ago. I did the Baby Yoda Frappuccino from Starbucks. Let's see, what else did I do? I did the Stranger Things. They had this special new Coke. Did that. Yeah, I do it all the time.
Interesting.
Your fast food chain sounds weird over in the US.
Well, let me tell you this, Isaac. Popeyes is a gift from the gods, depending on where you get it.
Wow. Wow.
That's fascinating.
So what you're saying is that when they get to the last floor and Tower of the Gods, there's going to be a Popeyes there? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. What do you guys think is at the top of that tower?
Popeyes and Chick-fil-A.
With no biscuits, because they drop.
No biscuits. Isaac, so where they can find you on the Twitter, Mr. Rydel?
You can find Ferdinand von Ayer on Emblemaniac and my work at Woban Entertainment. And what did you say, Leo?
I thought y'all were talking to me. My bad.
No, you good. I kind of did, but then Doc Isaac jumped in and
you asked me where I was gonna find. Anyway, go on, Leo.
It was a counter. I'm sorry. Bad pun.
You guys can find me over on Twitter at Leo Rydel and at Geekly Goods. And then come on over to YouTube and search up Geekly Goods or just type in youtube.com/Geekly Goods. And yeah, you're there. Come check us out, guys. Let's see. Coming up, we do have tomorrow. I've got Trailer Talk, which is a live stream series I do with another YouTuber, Steph, from over at Minute Movie Pop. We actually cross stream and stream on both channels, and we show the latest trailers from the week and talk about, upcoming movie news and just upcoming news that's like really relevant to movies and TV. And then also on Friday, I will be checking out Tenet in the theaters. And I'll have a whole return to theaters video. I might go live depending on the Wi-Fi. And so we'll see. It might be a live stream or a video. Really just depends. But be on the lookout for that as well.
It'll be funny to look at you in a hazmat suit in the movie theater.
So, okay,
make sure to take selfies.
I got a hazmat suit, right? And it was literally like a trash bag. So I'm just going to go with my Deadpool outfit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like a trash bag. I was like, dude, the material was so thin. I was like, dude, this is trash. So I'm just going to go in my Deadpool onesie with a mask, gloves, and probably a hairnet.
I don't get how you dare to go on the cinema, honestly.
Did you just say you have a Deadpool onesie?
Yep.
You are a brave man going where no geek has gone before.
You need to show us a picture of it.
Oh, don't y'all worry.
Instagram's going to blow up. So, guys, I'm Brandon Alvarado. You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52. I do not have a Deadpool onesie. And I'm really excited with this episode and how it's turned out. Isaac, my brother, always joining me. Thank you. It's awesome doing the show with you, always. Leo, can't wait to record with you in the future, whether it is the Amateur Otaku visiting Geekly Goods or you coming back and talking anime with us. It's really always a privilege and an honor to have you, my brother.
Agreed.
Always an honor to be here, guys. Thanks for the invite. And if you need an extra for Food Wars, hit me up.
Oh, we'll definitely do. Just stay live in the chat.
Dude, it would be awesome having you aboard that. Let's say that right now.
Yep. So, from the Amateur Otaku to you guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week. Well, we'll be covering the first season of Food Wars. For legacy episodes, this week we're going to put on our YouTube channel. We're going to publicize the last episode that we did on the My Hero Academia manga, where Leo and the Nova Cinephile, Mike Thomas, was there with us, and we talked about the My Hero Academia manga. We're also going to publish on our YouTube channel the episode that we did on My Hero Academia with Mario Francisco Robles, the fanboy himself. And we talked about heroes, what they mean to us, and why My Hero's first two episodes really emblemize the best about heroism and about hero stories. If there any other episode or manga that you guys want us to cover, please give us your recommendations. Give us your thoughts on the animes you guys want us to talk about. One of the things that Isaac and I have been talking backstage is that we're considering talking about manga more and probably talking about manga series. And if there's any manga that you guys think that we should check out or that you want us to review on the channel, let us know. We want to make bonus episodes for you guys on the content that you're interested in. So stay tuned because you might have manga episodes coming in the future. But without further ado, thank you for joining us. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
Hey,